Ready? No countdown? Just go. Okay. All right. So my wife and I live in Long Beach, California, and one of the reasons that this realm of like supernatural ministry is so important is Long Beach is a very spiritual place, but there's not much tangible presence to it. And so we feel like God can use this spiritual, supernatural ministry to step into the moment and reach people in their daily lives, in the day to day. We see it as like a tangible touch of God to show His love, that He wants to interact with people. He wants to come in and make Himself known and make His love known to people. I think it also is a great way to differentiate God from just the general spiritual atmosphere that's in the city. That it's not just some high lofty idea, but it is a God who wants to have a personal relationship and wants to really bring the kingdom to earth and affect the here and now. Moving out into this ministry, if I'm going to go out onto the street, or if I'm just going to be open to this in my daily life, one of the big things is just trusting that I'm hearing from God. So if I'm going to ask God to give me a word for someone, or ask God what He wants to show a person, trusting that God will show up and actually do what He says He'll do is a big part of it. And approaching people, one of the big things is to do it in a very loving way that can kind of bring down barriers, and to just be curious. When you take an interest in someone's life and do it in a way that's showing them love, it can be a transformative thing, and it can be a way to really open up the person to telling you about their life, or to being more accepting of what I'm going to bring to the conversation. I've seen times when I go in more with the idea of like, I'm going to come do this ministry for you, or I'm going to do this, that it can shut people off. Instead, if I'm just genuinely curious of, so tell me about why you're on crutches. Tell me about your arms in a sling. What's that about? Or you're out here selling jewelry on the street. You know, how did you get to this point? And so by taking an interest in their life, it shows that they're not just a project. It shows that God is really seeing them through me. And then it comes to the point of trusting you're hearing from God, and then just going for it. So you have to just cross the line and be brave, and trust that God's going to show up when you're stepping out like this. One of the things that helped me get over this is there can't really be any bad outcomes to this. If you're showing someone love and saying, "Hey, can I pray for your leg to be healed?" God, I think, wants to take away the pain in your leg. It's a win-win. Either God heals them and then they've had this touch from God, or they feel loved and cared for and seen, and the fact that that someone wants to care for their physical need. I think one thing that we can be short-sighted in is if we just go out and pray, or have words for people, interact with someone in a spiritual way, but then don't give them anything to step into next. If they just have a touch from God on the street, and then are left to then just go fend for themselves, or float and try to figure out what this was, then that's doing them a bit of a disservice. So always having an idea of what's next. What are you inviting them to after that? So say I pray for someone and God touches them and moves in their life. They feel healing. They feel a touch from God. What's the next invitation of that? Is it to let's read the Bible together. Let me tell you about this Jesus that just came and touched you. Would you like more healing in your life in other areas? Some kind of follow-up to the touch of God. A story that illustrates kind of this whole way of ministry. My wife and I were dropping our son off at his babysitter recently, and she had a brace on her wrist. And so really felt God prompting to pray for her wrist and to heal the pain that was there. So just approached and asked her, what happened to your wrist? And she told me the story, and I just led with, I really think God's highlighted that because He wants to heal you. He wants to touch you. And got the chance to sit, and my wife and I prayed for her, and she just almost immediately started just crying, and she was feeling something in her hand. There was warmth, there was tingling, some sort of sensation, and God took away her pain that day. And in checking back with her, it hasn't come back since. And what that really led to was in getting to process with her, like, what happened? I've never had a touch like that from God. I've never had something so personal from God. And that really opened her up to being open to hear more about Jesus and more about this God that came and interacted with her life on this super tangible way.